Today in this video, I'm going to share with you how to work on your business, not in your business. And specifically, I'm going to give you strategies that over time, you get to be completely on your business. Now, a lot of you think that's a fantasy. It's not. Stay tuned. All right, so in this video, we are going to have so much fun. Right? So just, write the word fun in the comments just so we're all together. So we're going to talk about the number one way that you get to go work on your business versus in the business. And then we're going to talk about how do you properly delegate versus micromanage. And then third, how do you do nothing? This is going to be fun. So how do you work on your business versus in the business? Well, first of all, let's just dissect that. What does that mean? It's a sexy term. A lot of people said it. There's been books written on it. Sounds awesome. But if you're a beginner or even an intermediate, let's just dissect it. So first, let's get in the business and dissect what in the business is. And then we can talk about on the business. And I'm going to go to kind of jobs and departments and things to do. So first of all, in the business, what has to happen daily in the business? So when I think in the business, you're talking like conceptually, if you think about showing up to work, right? Even though this is your company, what are the things that have to be touched every day to move? You got to market. Marketing is about getting leads. Who's interested in you, right? So whether that's social channels, whether, that's whatever you're going to be doing, running ads, billboards, whatever. How are you marketing? How are you then selling that lead, making that lead a customer? The faster you do that, the faster you make money. Then the big one everyone forgets, accounting. You got to put the money in the bank, in the right bank account, by the way, so it's taxed properly. So you have all that to deal with. This is in the business task. Somebody has to market. Somebody has to sell. Somebody's got to do accounting. Then somebody has to fulfill all the stuff you just sold. Then you got to do customer service, make sure everything's kind of cool, right? They're working on it. Then you got to have technology. You've got other operations. You've got legal. Those are like in the business things. So let's move up and say, well, what do you do when you're on the business? Well, you oversee those activities through dashboards. That's what I see. So I get reports on my little phone from different companies every day. How's marketing doing, right? So I'm not doing it, I'm up here, right? How are sales? How's the accounting? What's the cash flow for the day? Like I'm going to teach you to have daily cash flow reports. Income, expenses, assets, liabilities are great, but as a business owner, there is nothing more important to you than cash flow. Is it coming in every day? And what are you spending every day? So on the business is our dashboards of overseeing those departments. On the business would be things like a CPA who's overseeing and making sure that your business is coming in with the right tax strategy. On the business would be the legal team, making sure that you're protected, depending on what you're doing, E&O insurance, that you have D&O insurance, if you have trademark protection. So on the business is the higher level thinking. It's the strategy. Are you going to sell the company? Are you going to take it public? Are you looking for a merger and acquisition? Like you just have a different level of thinking when you're working on the business versus getting in it. Now, let me just break the great news. So even in Robert Kiyosaki's cash flow quadrant, right, where he talked about the quadrants of being the business owner, right, versus the employee. Here's the truth. They actually really tried that, right? And the idea was, and they were challenged, I think, by some media outlet, that they should go away, Robert himself, go away, come back in a year and see how his company is doing. I can promise you he was back in less than 6 months and it was about on the floor, right? Another great example of that, one we all know, is Apple and Steve Jobs. Right? When he left, it fell down hard. So there's a point where the entrepreneur drives the energy, it drives the idea, right? I'm the driver of the Millionaire Maker brand. Although I have an enormous organization of coaches and instructors and people, not a lot of employees, I only have 2 employees. When you're thinking about on the business, you really have to be the overseer of the movement, of the cash flow, of the departments. And I want you to start thinking that way. Here's an activity I want you to do right now, right? Well, as soon as you're done watching my video. I want you to do this activity of designing your organization chart and you're not in it. I have very few clients or people that can do it. And when you're done, I want you actually submit it on the comments somehow, call in our office, fax it in, email it in. I want to see it because it's difficult. So if you're you should be the chairman of the board of the president. So who's in charge of your marketing? Who's in charge of sales? Who's in charge of accounting? Who's doing your fulfillment? Who's doing that? It's actually an interesting activity. But if you're serious about this conversation and you say you want to work on it, well, let's go to step number 2. Who are you going to delegate it all to? And you cannot be that entrepreneur. You'll kill your business if you become the micromanager of those. Delegating is different. So delegating, I'm going to teach you a term, it's called future pacing. So delegating is sitting with the manager of all those departments and saying, by the end of this week, this month, this quarter, these are the goals that you set together. Then you're going to oversee them. You're not going to be the one saying, that's not how I do that. You can't micromanage them. You hire them with skill because they know how to get it done. Right? They're going to have so many followers on a social channel. They're going to have so many subscribers. They're going to have so many ads placed with some ad, ROI on the ad revenue. They have to manage all that. They're going to be on certain billboards. They're going to be managing whatever your marketing strategies are. You have the same reports from your salesperson, the same goals, same accounting. So you say, well, by the way, a lot of people have a hard time with goals in accounting. It's manage the heck out of expenses. So they can't manage the income, right? They can track the income coming in, but what they can manage are the expense side of the house. So their incentives are the expense side of the house. So then your job, I'm going to say, is gradually you start working above them, delegating to what their goals are, and then you have regular, maybe weekly meetings, so performance reviews, maybe that's how you get your ideas out. But you cannot hire superstars and then micromanage superstars. They're going to leave. Now, the only reason you have to micromanage is you're hiring substandard work. You're hiring people who actually don't know how to do it. And I can promise you, this is $1 trillion tip. And if you've been watching my channel, and for those of you going to watch forward, I give $1 trillion tips all the time. That's my fun phrase for this is significant. Do not hire somebody you're going to grow up unless you know and have a commitment on that investment. I don't know how many times I made the mistake where I took somebody, that I thought I could grow into a great whatever I wanted to grow them into. And so now I'm paying to train them. And then when they're finally trained, they go somewhere else. I don't know how many times I did that early on. So now what I do is I take a lot of people out of university, out of internships, and I'll grow them up. But I got a 5 or 7 year contract on them. So I'm going to grow you up and you're going to become freaking amazing, but you're going to stay on my team while we do that so I don't lose you. So there's some hiring, conversations. I could do that on another time. If you comment below that that's interesting, I can do a video about how do you hire and how do you do all that stuff. But let's stay on the topic at hand, on versus in. It is so easy if you're the micromanager to get in the business and drive these very amazing people you just hired crazy. Now, if you're at the other side and say, well, I can't hire them. Well, I've talked about funding sources. I've talked about other sources. And quite frankly, you got to get the sales team moving first. If you don't have sales, you don't have revenue. So you got to get the sales team moving first. So that gives you a little idea of what's the description between on versus in and the long walk that it is. And I actually, in real reality, do not think you will ever be dismissed from this company. You just won't. You're the generator, you're the idea. You don't have to do all the work. Like I'm at a place where I can go to my office 2 days a week and we're all fine. I still do most of the front-facing production, but it's up to you. But just kind of think through, is it really what you want before you do it? Now, delegating versus micromanaging, we talked a little bit about that. This is really important. And at the end of the day, you are who you are, so stay in your lane. If you're a micromanager in a certain category, you might as well run that department. For a long time, I was the marketing and sales manager because I micromanaged the heck out of it. I love those 2 categories, and I was deep in it, and everybody worked for me inside of it. And then the rest of it, I was on the business. So there are some splits where you can be partly in and partly on, but just be real with yourself. So if you're enjoying this video, please share. Share. I'm sure you have a lot of other colleagues that will need to know the distinctions of in versus on. Because I think there's a lot of snarky people who just say, oh, I just work on my business. And then you gotta say, show me your P&L, show me your cash flow statement. I bet it's struggling because you gotta stay inside of that. Now, let me teach you how you do nothing, right? And to start this, I got to tell you a very funny story about my daughter. So my daughter was about 4th grade, and we live in Lake Tahoe, and we live on one side of town, and her school was way on the other side of town. So it was at least a 20, if not 30-minute drive every morning and night. That was my time. We just talk. Or I hire her. Right? So she would do my work. So I would drive and she would text for me. And she would text my marketing manager, my sales manager, my accounting manager, right? So she would text all these people in the morning. So one day, just miraculously, she looks at me. And by the way, this was part of her, tasks for earning money that month. And then on the way home, she would text them again to see about their report out for the day. And then this one magical morning, she looked at me. She said, Mommy, what do you do? I said, well, what do you mean, what do I do? I said, I do this. And she said, no, you just tell other people what to do and then you go ski all day. She said, I don't think you do anything. And I thought, dang, I like that. Because you know what I do? I lead. And I cannot wait to transition you. So instead of talking about in and on your business, I'd like to talk about leadership. because I lead a lot of people in a lot of organizations. I don't have just one organization. I lead many, many organizations. And the minute I get into the doing, right, and I go like this, because then your head's down, your hands are on the keyboard, you're missing this. You're missing thinking, you're missing opportunities, and you're missing connecting. So I'm ultimately going to grow you into a leader, not a doer. And that's where all the big money's made. And that's where the deals get done. So when I invite you to step up, again, I want you to subscribe to my channel, because if you want to be this person, I can't wait to mentor you. What I want to do right now is give you a free gift. And it's actually one of my videos that I've just recently shot. And it's one of my favorite because it's your 3 to 5 year millionaire plan. So if you're serious and you want to do this, you're going to need to make the money to hire the teams, to have a proper organization, so you're free, at least freer, and you get to lead and not do. So I want you to click on the link, go see that video, let me know what you're going to do and what you learned.